Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Lance Dunahoe, and welcome to DFW's Real Estate Best. I'm honored to be here with you. We've got a great show today. DFW's Real Estate Best is brought to you every week, powered by The Difference. Lyndon Wilson, one of our great partners, has been bringing you just some incredible features and people over the last few years. The Difference live stream radio podcast provides video branding and digital business development solutions for small businesses and owners and entrepreneurs locally and statewide. With over 600,000 viewers in 2020 and growing, The Difference can help any business grow their brand awareness and develop a message that humanizes your business. So we're all about that at Real Producer Magazine. I am so proud to be the co-owner of the Tarrant Real Producer Magazine with my partner, Jordan Espeseth, and our team with Rachelle Marie and Jenica Hine. Every month, we bring you just some fantastic stories of the realtors and our partners, the top agents in the DFW Metroplex that are doing the majority of the business, and their incredible stories. We're always inspired by these people that we get to sit down and hear their stories and their struggles. And today we have two rock stars, one of my favorite people on the planet. We've invited as our guest, and her name is Annette Sales-Jory with Fairway Mortgage. And her guest that she's invited is Laurie Murdoch with Fathom Realty. So I want to bring them on real quick, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Hey, Annette, Laurie,
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, as I said, you guys are total rock stars, and we're so glad to have you here on the show. Lyndon's podcast is titled The Difference, and we love bringing people on that have worked together and made a difference in each other's lives. And I think you both have done that. But I'm going to give you just a real quick chance to introduce yourselves, and then I want to talk about that, the difference that you guys have made in each other's lives and business and how that has helped your clients. So, Annette, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Lance. What a fun time we're going to have this morning. Well, I'm Annette Sales-Jory. I am with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. I started with Fairway back in 2012, so I'm almost celebrating a 10-year anniversary coming up here in a few months. And prior to that, I was with a small boutique firm for about 10 years. So I have loved being a loan officer for a while. And I'm a native Texan, so I love our great state.
Well, I love that. And, the people that know you love you. In fact, of course, you've been a partner in our Tarrant Real Producer Magazine from the first issue. And in fact, I've always loved your ad. When we walk our partners and our agents through the magazine and our readers, they get to see your lovely face. And I always say, when you're with Angie, it's like you walked into Mama's kitchen, because you have such a servant's heart and you have such attention to detail when it comes to relationships and people. And so I know that your guest, Laurie, has probably experienced that. So I want to introduce Laurie Murdoch with Fathom Realty. Laurie, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here. I'm
Yeah,
Laurie Murdoch with Fathom Realty.
Go ahead.
Oh, with Fathom Realty, I've been a realtor since 2008. I've been with Fathom almost 10 years. And it's just something that I love. Got in the market at a time when things were different, the foreclosure market. And before that, I was with new home construction. So,
wow, you just said it. You did get in probably at the worst time to get in real estate in the DFW market, or just in the foreclosure market, yes. 2008. And I'm going to probably ask you some questions about that, because I'm sure you learned some lessons along the way that have helped you persevere and be a top agent here in DFW.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about how you guys met first off. So how'd you meet?
We met at a coffee shop through a mutual realtor about 9 years ago. And we've been buddies ever since.
I know. I love her passion. That's the one thing I love about her, is I love her passion about her clients and her business. And so we were just a fast match. It was really just perfect from the get-go. And what's interesting is I just heard we met right after she joined Fathom. And I used to work in the Dallas market for about 10 years in that small boutique firm I mentioned. So I moved over here. And so it sounds like Laurie and I met right about the same time we both started in this area.
Exactly.
Wow.
Didn't know that. Learned something today.
Well, one of our Jenica's watching, and she said she loves that coffee bringing people together. It does, doesn't it?
I see that. Yep.
Thank you to our sponsor, Starbucks. No, I wish. Wouldn't that be great? But so let's talk about that. I know your passion, Anjanette, and if you're saying she was a fast match for you, that says a lot. So let's talk about that. What makes you guys compatible in that? I know that there's just sometimes there's these combinations of relationships that when you get to work together, it just kind of changes the whole transaction, doesn't it? And those transactions go so well for your client when you have those strong relationships and those commitments to your client and getting things done for their benefit. But can you guys share a couple stories of some things that have gone well for your clients and maybe some that maybe didn't? And how did you guys handle that?
You want to go first, Anjanette?
I'll let you hit this one.
Okay.
I'll catch up though in the middle.
Okay. So Anjanette and I have closed many homes together. Not all have gone smoothly, but that's what's important when you have a partner is that you can work through the bumps. Okay. You've got hurdles to get through from showings to contract, through inspections, appraisals, getting to a closing, and you have somebody that you can pick up the phone and have a conversation with and talk things out and smooth things over for, an emotional client possibly, then, that's who you need in your pocket. Anjanette has done loans for my family. We just closed a loan for one of her families. So it's fun too, because we get to know each other's family, grandkids, husbands. So
we have. When I
she's met my kids, I've met her. So it's fun.
It's fun when we've kind of joined and gotten beyond just the daily work grind, but really integrated in each other's lives as well. When I first met Laurie, that immediately openness and friendliness, but I noticed right away in our first transaction together, attention to detail. Oh my gosh. How she approaches a situation, how she approaches from start to finish, from when she sends a client my way for pre-approval till closing day. The way we operate is so similar. The passion she has is similar matches the passion I have for people. And I think that's made a really smooth partnership for the clients that she's working with and I'm working with, because I've sent her some folks too. And like she said, my brother, he moved his family down, and first person I thought of was Laurie. I said, she'll take care of him. I know she will. And she did.
Which means so much, to be able to trust me and to trust you with our families. So, to make sure that things go smoothly and that the ultimate goal is to get them into the house of their dreams. So it works.
Mm-hmm. And I think the clients feel that too, when they feel the tightness in the bond, that we work so similarly and that we're both so focused to detail. And I believe that because I know I'm blessed. I've helped every single one of her kids almost. The trust factor there is, no, this is how we're going to do it. And Anjanette and I are going to walk you through it. And it just really calms and makes the whole process really easy.
Yeah.
Well, I think what you're describing before the show, Lyndon was talking about a meme that he had that went pretty viral about the difference between being transactional and relational. And when you kind of transcend to that level, and it really is, and real estate is so relational, it is so relationship driven. People work with who they trust, because there are a lot of misconceptions about real estate and realtors and lenders and home inspectors and pretty much every aspect of the real estate world. And I love it when folks like you guys are the exception. But I would like to talk about that a little bit. What are some of the misconceptions that you guys have faced and overcome with your profession? In other words, without being defensive, defend your profession. What are some of the things that you guys are often having to address when you're meeting a new client or kind of explaining the whole process? I'll start with you, Laurie.
Ooh, so many to start with. I try to put my best foot forward with people right up from the start. Just open and honest, like you said, being relational from day one. I work strictly by referral. So when somebody refers me to their coworker, their family, their friend, that I take that so personally that I have got to be on the top of my game for that person that they have referred me to. Because when I refer people with Annette or, a contractor or somebody else, I want to know how that person is taking care of my clients. So I'm taking care of their clients to the best that I can. So, and 99% it works out.
Well, I love that. Where Real Producer is, and our partners in Real Producer Magazine have all been referred to us by top agents. So they've been vetted by professionals. So you have this confidence, right? When you're working with other professionals like Annette. When I started sitting down with agents and talking about who they loved as their lender, Annette's name came up so many times because she's developed that reputation of giving that white glove service and being so relational. So, Annette, can you talk a little bit about some of the objections, maybe some of the things that you face, maybe particularly even in this market right now, something specific to what you're dealing with?
Well, as a mortgage banker and a lender, a lot of times people think that we work 9 to 5. We're not here for them. It's just a huge cumbersome process, to get through the loan process and to make it happen. And as Laurie even said about herself, I take it personally. They are like my family when they come to me. And so from the moment I meet them, I think they see a difference there's a lot of lenders and mortgage people out there who really care, really want to get it right for the client. And we're there for them. They call us, we're going to answer that phone or text back their message, not just from 9 to 5. This market is so crazy. The really good lenders are picking up the phone calls on the weekends, sometimes late at night. You'd be surprised when we are actually responding to emails and texts and phone calls. I know for me, I understand the importance of sense of urgency. This is a crazy fun market where there's multiple offers, and an hour could be the difference of someone getting their offer accepted or not. Yeah. So I do believe that there are more people like myself, but I'm importantly just really want to impress that we're there for our clients. It's just as important for us to close them.
That's funny. We talked about sometimes we view let's just say the real estate industry has got a pretty low barrier of entry, but to sustain is completely different. And a lot of folks think they're going to get into real estate to control their schedule and to have a life. And it's just the opposite.
It doesn't quite turn out that way.
No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. So it almost is a natural culling process. It weeds out the ones that don't have that determination.
Well, and for a lot of people, this is my career. Yeah. This is my profession. This is not a day job trying to get the bills paid. Make no mistake, I have bills to pay, just like everyone else. But I love this. I mean, this is what I'm doing 20-something years later, or else I wouldn't be doing it. And the importance of making sure they're taken care of is at the top of the list.
Yeah, and Annette, you don't not only have bills to pay, but you've got some big dogs to feed, don't you?
I have 2. Thank you, my babies. I have 2 amazing bird dogs, and their names are Lucy and Ludwig for you people out there in TV land. They are my heart every day. I also have some amazing family who really steal my heart. But my 2 big dogs, they eat a lot. Help me take care of them. Send me your loans.
Now, I hear you're pretty good behind those bird dogs too. You're a pretty good shot, right? You like to do a little bit of bird hunting, right?
I love bird hunting. It's one of my passions. I've been doing it for I was introduced to hunting as a child because, like I said, I'm a native Texan. And so most people have gone out to the farm or the country or have been around guns at some point in their life, even if it was just once. And my family grew up doing that on Thanksgiving and holidays. Me, not so much because I was a girl, but they did let me shoot the shotgun a few times. And later in life, I really missed that. And I wanted to get back involved in shooting shotguns. So probably about 25-ish years ago, I picked up a shotgun. I started shooting it and, oh my gosh, had a blast, literally. And have just been in love with that ever since. And then the bird hunting just kind of happened chanced. I met a wonderful man about 18 years ago. We're celebrating our 18th anniversary next month.
Congratulations.
Hi, honey. Love you if he's watching. But the point is that I do love bird hunting. My bird dog, my Lucy, is my bird dog. I'm her person. And we hunt a lot. We hunt a lot. And we hunt all over the state. We go to other states. You know, we just have a good time out in the field. It helps me get away and recharge and clear the mind so I can keep doing what I do every day.
You know, there is something magic about working with a dog and just eye contact, a little signal, and being on the same page. I really think that there's a version of heaven that does include bird hunting, because I grew up raising Brittany Spaniels and German Shorthairs and Pointers, and certainly miss those coveys of quail that we used to hear around here more frequently. But
and one of my girl Lucy, her favorite bird is pheasant. We love pheasant hunting together.
Yeah.
Upland bird hunting is her thing. She loves to find things. She is very passionate about her birds, so much so that I am a pretty good shot. If I aim, I usually harvest and bring home, and we actually feed our family with the game that we harvest from the planet. But if I happen to miss one, I get the look. Just saying. She's a sweetheart and I love her to death, but you don't want that look. It's not a good one.
Just so disappointed.
Mm-hmm. She's so disappointed, like, let me go. Why'd you miss that? But I do love that. And it's something I carry into my work as well. Just finding the right answer, hunting for the right solution, all of that.
You're not talking about bringing a shotgun to work, though, right?
Yeah, I don't bring a shotgun to work.
So, Laurie.
Maybe they might let me, but I don't think so.
An open house or where I asked you to bring your gun.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Laurie, how about you? What do you do for fun? How do you kind of decompress? Real estate can be, a 24/7 deal, and sometimes you have to step away for your sanity. What do you do? How do you take care of yourself? What do you do for fun?
Okay, so I have a little different kind of a plan. I like to travel some, like anybody, and usually I have my laptop with me, but at least, you can decompress there. Spend a lot of time with my family when I can. I've got 2 granddaughters here and 2 in New Orleans. So as much as possible, if I have had a full day, I'm calling my daughter saying, hey, can I come over and see my babies? And that really helps me to decompress. But going to a beach is always a good thing for me.
And those kids are so cute.
Yeah, I got cute kids.
Now they're all here local, you said?
Okay, so one is local in Louisville,
Yeah.
and my son lives in New Orleans, and he has 2 little girls. So I have 4 total. And I have to go to New Orleans to see the others. So I try to do that every few months and spend, 3 or 4 days there. So that helps. That's what my vacations are, is to see my family.
Yeah.
So we just got back from Galveston. I rented a house on the beach, and my daughters drove from here. My son drove from there. So we had all of us together for 5 days. It was wonderful.
Somebody just chimed in and said, we love Lala. I'm guessing that would be you.
That's my name, and that is my oldest daughter. Yeah, she's in Red River right now, having a little vacay at her cabin. So I'm glad to see she's watching. Have fun.
Lala. My sister is known as Lola to our kids. So
Okay.
Lala, Lola's.
All right.
Laurie, did you grow up here? What's that?
And
Jeanette
her cover kids.
1 year ago. So she's got a 1-year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
That's my son who works for the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Laurie, did you grow up here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Where are you from? Where's
I wasn't born here, got here as quick as I could. My dad transferred with UPS, open for UPS back in the early 70s. I was just a kid, and been here ever since. My kids are native Texans, and I love it here. So I grew up in Louisville Flower Mound, and now here I am, not too far away.
Were you a fighting farmer growing up?
I was a fighting farmer.
Were you really? Wow.
I was a farmerette. I was on the drill team now. Yep, 3 years on the drill team.
Wow. So, and you mentioned earlier you worked with a builder before you got into real estate. So you got a pretty good knowledge of DFW, and you've seen the changes, the growth. Who was the builder you were working with, and how did that kind of prepare you, you think, for your career as a realtor?
So I worked for a couple of builders. I worked for David Weekley Homes.
Oh, yeah.
And they were wonderful. And I also worked for Standard Pacific Homes in between. And I had 2 builders that I worked for. And, it was great. I learned a lot about new construction, working through the builders with the blueprints and the changes that the people wanted to make to their homes, and then seeing it come to fruition and being built and walking the properties and, having things adjusted or not adjusted and getting him into a brand new home. I mean, it was so glorious back in the day. Came 2008, 2007, 2008. There was the foreclosure market, and I said, I have got to sell more homes. So I got my real estate license, and in 2 months I was selling real estate.
Wow.
Yep.
So obviously in the last year, we've had a pretty significant low inventory seller's market, a lot of new construction. I'm guessing some of that experience has probably helped you with some of your clients, just help them navigate that process.
Oh, yes.
What's changed? What do you think has changed since you were in construction?
Pricing has changed. Availability of the, product takes a little longer to build a house these days. My knowledge from working for builders and having clients build new homes these days has helped tremendous, because that it just pops back up into my head. Says, oh, I know that. Oh, I remember that. So to help my clients these days who want to build a new home with a builder who don't really know what's going to happen or what to expect, I have the knowledge for that. So patience is key when building a home.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen even, there's some builders that right now they're even reluctant to work with realtors. Some builders just would rather not, and they're struggling with even the shift in the market. That's turning a little bit, though, don't you think? I mean, we're seeing. Well, let me ask you. I use that term shift. That's kind of a popular term in real estate, kind of a vernacular that we have. But do you guys see a shift happening right now? What do you see going on in the market?
Okay, so this time of year, in my opinion, always is a little bit different because school starts.
Yeah.
August to September. We do have some listings coming on, but those people who needed to be in before school started for their kids, we've got those buyers closed. The buyers who are still looking, inventory is still low. And multiple offers are still happening. And some of that does depend on the price point that the buyers are looking for, but you just have to stick with it, and we get them there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm always, watching the numbers, every month, take a look at, I guess they kind of come out on the 7th and take a look. And so it's always, you're looking, is it a fluctuation, kind of a typical thing, or is it really a change? Is there really something significant happening? And Jeanette, what are you seeing on your end with that as far as some of the indicators? Do you think that this is the price points dropping a little bit, inventory, fewer or more houses, more months of inventory? What are you seeing, and how are you kind of adapting to that?
Well, for the mortgage side, we see more applications and things either picking up or slowing down. And that coincides with what's going on in the housing market, whether there's enough properties out there for people to purchase to apply for a loan and be able to close. So from an application standpoint, that coincides with housing starts, things that are available. Mm-hmm. We've been crazy busy this year. At the current point in time in year, just like Laurie said, because school has started, people have been focusing more on that. We saw just a slight tick down in applications in July, but that's not going to hold. August is already ramping up and getting very busy for like September, October closings. So I think at this point in time of year, most people just had to focus on something that was different for them, which was, and more important, which was getting their kids into school. And those that needed to be moved already have already done that. And great realtors like Laurie have already found them the property, got them closed in June and July, and now they're taking a break to get their kids settled. I do believe that fall is going to pick back up because I still have quite a few people that are pre-approved who need to find a house. And so that just indicates that inventory is still a little bit low from what I can see. And we need more homes still. People are still struggling to find a place to move to.
Yeah, we're kind of, it seems like a little bit of a limbo, right? But so what is, Laurie, from your end, from a real estate, what does a pro like you do in this environment? That we're dealing with some subtle changes, but as far as, we look at, even in the news, I saw something on NPR this morning that, is just reactionary and talking about the bubble and all this kind of stuff that doesn't always coincide with the data, particularly here locally, with Tarrant County and DFW. But what do you do as you're thinking and kind of preparing your clients for some of the things that you might have had some different scripts, if you will, for dealing with a really strong seller's market? I mean, you could tell them to leave town, you were going to list the house, and when they get back, you were going to present them with, one of the 20 offers, or that they maybe have. But that might be changing a little bit. So how are you adapting to these subtle changes?
Well, some of them aren't so subtle, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, so setting expectations from the very beginning is so important, whether they're selling or, whether they're buying. Sellers, all they hear is everybody's making so much money over the list price. It's selling in 24 hours. Where am I going to go? I don't have another house to go to, or, I'm moving out of state and I need to stay here for 60 days before I can move. So you're always dealing with something, and you really have to listen to your clients when they're talking about what they need. I'd like to just real quick answer. Justin had asked a question a few minutes ago, and he referred to that. I said I work strictly by referral. I do work by referral, Justin, but I also work with other people. But usually somebody down the line has referred them to me. If I get a cold call, I just have to really vet that cold call for safety reasons, and I do that. But those people work out too. And yes, I do find that it works down the route. So I hope that answers your question. But yes, setting expectations is so important. We are doing all kinds of things outside the box to find our buyers those homes that they need. I'm writing letters to neighborhoods. Sometimes I'll knock on some doors if I know somebody wants to be in a certain area, and just leave my card and say, hey, I do have a buyer. I don't do that if I don't have a buyer. I must have a buyer if I'm going to knock on your door. So, and for listings, it is a dance, as I call it, to get your listing sold and for them to get into another home without being homeless. I do that pretty well. It takes communication with everybody, with the lender, with the other realtors you're working with the realtors talking to their sellers or / buyers, depending on what end of the transaction I am on. It's just so important. It's been a crazy year and a busy year, and to stay on top of it takes a lot of hours.
Yeah, it sounds like just keeping current with the what is happening in the market, just the changes between April and July or June, where it was like a 20% increase in the price of the home. So for those folks that were trying to time that, because I think, prior to this year, I remember reading somewhere that the average, in Tarrant County at least, the average home length of home ownership was about 7 to 8 years. But that was for people that were sort of timing their equity, what they were going to get out of it. So they would find that there was a good time about every 8 years. But that probably shifted a little bit in the last year, where that moved up in the timeline to more like 5 years. And so, but then timing that just even within a few months and some things. So I guess it's still a pretty healthy market, but just being kind of knowledgeable and kind of having some of those strategies to keep your clients out of trouble too. And like you said, from being homeless is pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jeanette, what are you seeing kind of on the lending side? I know there's news, but you actually see it where the rubber meets the road.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to kind of cap on top of what Laurie said with staying out of trouble, one of the key elements, timing and staying out of trouble, is getting pre-approved. I hear people often where they've got their home for sale, but they have no place to go because unfortunately they couldn't get pre-approved. So where Laurie is referring them to a lender to get pre-approval process is incredibly important before they choose to move, unless they already know where they're going and what they're doing. The pre-approval process involves looking at everything from their documentation on income and assets and ability to close. And that's very, very important for people to realize. Otherwise, they'll have no home to go to. So what we see on our end is just an uptick. We've done a great job as an industry getting people to look at getting pre-approved first before they take that first step.
And that's too kind of coming from, I'm sure that's sort of an awkward moment sometimes, Laurie, to say, hey, we need to kind of, before I get you in my car, before I meet you in a house, having that kind of pre-qualifying conversation to go, number one, can they even afford the house we're going to look at? How are they going to pay for that? But what are some of the steps you do? You mentioned just some things that you have to do to protect yourself, but how do you do that? How do you tactfully do that?
Okay, so I do have to have those conversations. I just actually had that conversation with somebody who wanted to start looking at homes who wasn't pre-qualified. And they just thought we could just go look at the houses. And I tried to explain to them, it wasn't that I didn't want to take them to look at the houses. It's that if they fall in love with one, we can't make an offer without them having the pre-approval letter. So their best bet is to at least talk to a lender, get pre-approved, and then if you want to go look at houses, let's go. We set them up on a search. We start looking for things. We meet out at the houses. I very rarely have anybody in my car these days. I think most realtors find that. On occasion we do, but really we don't. Most people have 2 or 3 or 4 people want to go look at the whole family, look at the house. So they're in their own car. I'm in my car. We follow each other to the properties. So,
and I think also too, setting up those expectations, like Laurie mentioned, about even the pre-approval process. I share with them, this is not a quick phone call. That's not a pre-approval. Having a conversation on the phone gives you an idea what you're looking for, what your strengths may be, but getting a full, complete pre-approval is what the market demands. They want to know that you can qualify. They want to know you can get the loan, and that you have the assets to close. So that involves looking at a lot of their personal private data, and that can be intimidating for some people. But with great realtors like Laurie, setting that tone for you need to do this and putting them at ease to make sure they get that done, the pre-approval process is very important. It's not the same as a pre-qual. A pre-qualification is basically just a conversation on the phone.
And sometimes it just shows you how motivated they are.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to get pre-approved, then you can just look at the pretty pictures online, I guess. Or walk into an open house if that's what you want to do. So,
and the pre-approval can be lengthy or it can be short.
Right.
It's bottom line, like Laurie said, if they're motivated, they're going to get me the documents they need so that I can complete that pre-approval. And I work really hard to get that done within 24 hours for folks. Again, I know the importance of sense of urgency in getting offers in so that theirs is at the top of the heap when it comes to certain homes. But we'll find out really quick, like who's really serious and who's not.
Yeah, especially in this market with all the multiple offers.
Yeah. So, Laurie, are you seeing even, on the listing side and on the buyer side, just depending on which you're on, have you ever just on the listing side said, don't even bother to bring this offers if there's not a pre-approval or?
So if I get an offer on a listing that doesn't have a lender letter for some reason, it better be cash.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So
And proof of funds?
I think all realtors know that we need the pre-approval letter.
Yeah.
Sometimes it follows the offer, and I may talk about the offer with the seller, but they're not going to make a decision until we get that pre-approval letter. And I've actually had a chance to talk to their lender. I want to make sure that lender has talked. I want to make sure they have somebody like an Annette.
Yeah.
They're just not a number. And, so that if they say that they're pre-approved, that we can actually get all our clients to the closing table and everybody can be happy.
Yeah. Well, that makes a good distinction too, because I'm sure you do sometimes have a buyer that wants to work with another lender and you get somebody that's an amateur or that's just, somebody online and they think they're pre-approved and all that. And it just becomes a nightmare probably for them and a lot of disappointment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a few like that through my career, not lately. I usually try to get them to talk to somebody that I work with, even if they can't, snag them and get them, as their client. I want to know that my contact says, hey, this is a good person and we're going to get them closed. I don't know if they're going with me, but that at least makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about, we've talked about some of your successes here and just the fact that you guys have this great relationship, but some of the struggles, to get where you both are. I know that you guys have had to endure different markets, but could you share just a story maybe of just one of your struggles you can be as personal as you want, but overcoming that in either personally or professionally. I just know that folks appreciate that people like you work hard to be where you are, and it doesn't come easy. So, Annette, I want to start with you. You mind sharing one of those?
No, not at all. Some of the struggles in my business is when you work really, really hard with a client, and I'm sure a lot of lenders can understand what I'm about to say and appreciate it, but you'll work for months trying to help someone get pre-approved for a home loan. And then it's for some reason, at some point, they move on to someone else and you don't know why. You just don't hear from them anymore. And it's like, how do you capture those people and keep them with you? So some of the struggles you can find is when, and I'm sure it's the same with the real estate agents, you'll work for someone, show them lots of houses, and then all of a sudden you don't hear from them anymore. So some of the struggles can be spending all the time, and working with a client, investing in them and providing a great service, and then you don't hear from them again. That can be a struggle. How do you keep them engaged when they just turn and go and you don't even know why?
Yeah, that's going to hurt.
It's just frustrating because, at the end of the day, most of all of us, if you don't close the deal, the paycheck doesn't come. So you can spend a lot of time with someone. And I don't think that they realize that when you're working hard for them, that you're really there for them and you hope that they stick with it.
Yeah.
You see them at the closing table. I'm lucky that most of the people I work with, I see them to the closing table. When I send a pre-approval letter out to the real estate agents, I expect to see them at the closing table because I've done my due diligence, and looking at everything to make sure they qualify for what they want to do. And so with all that comes a lot of hard work, but every now and again, one might disappear. That's kind of a struggle that I have sometimes with, how do I keep that one? Where'd they go?
Mm-hmm. Well, I know how much you put into every one of your clients and of yourself. So I'm sure that you take that very personally. It's hard not to, isn't it? Again, real estate is such a relationship-based industry that we get invested in our people. We're talking about being there at this critical moment. They're making a decision that will affect their future, where they're seeing their family be raised or their family situation is changing. All that they're in some place that they're about to change the direction of where they are. And to be a part of that, you get emotionally invested in your clients. So I'm sure that is got to be heartbreaking. Laurie, have you experienced that? Have you ever had a client kind of go dark on you and that you drove around?
I like that. Go dark. They're ghosting us.
Ghost you.
Of course, it happens. It's a very small percentage, and sometimes you don't know why. Sometimes they'll tell you why. A family member became a realtor, or they've decided to just go a different route, and you just have to go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
I support them. I wish them the best. Early on in my career, it hurt more than it does now. Now I understand that it takes all types and all kinds. We do work hard. We work hard behind the scenes for many contracts in this market. I'm writing 10, 12 contracts to get somebody in contract to get to a closing. So that means we've looked at that many houses previously. We've made that many offers. We've tried to negotiate it in the multiple offers. And for one reason or another, sometimes the buyers just can only do what they can do. So it just wasn't meant to be their home. So think about that. I mean, I just closed a deal that it really took us almost 5 months to find his home and get it closed. And, when we were at the closing table, it was like, yay, thanks for sticking with me. And he was like, thanks for sticking with me. And, it's just, we're working hard. But I mean, this is something that I love to do. I got into this business because I thought I could do it for the rest of my life, even if I did as much or as little of real estate. I love it. We're always having to learn. We're always taking classes to better ourselves. I just finished a deal with a fairly new agent over in Forney, and it was kind of unusual. And we had a couple of bumps in the road, and she and I communicated a lot. The lender was great. She communicated a lot. It's up to us to keep our clients' emotions settled. I can't get emotional when something happens. I don't get a high on the phone or, because I want to work with that realtor again. She was great. We just had some bumps in the roads. We worked them out, and we got to the closing table, and everybody was happy. So there's a lot of communication. And I told her, I said, I've been doing this 13 years, and I said, this is the first deal I've had like this. So, because she was like, I don't know anything about this, because she was fairly new. And I said, every deal can be different. There's always something. And we learned.
One of the struggles that we have on the lending side too is with the clients, bless their heart, when they can't qualify. And that in their heart, they really want to get into a home. And part of my passion is the easy deals are easy. Thank you for, bringing them on. That always makes, things go much smoother in timing. But those who have struggles on how to qualify and get pre-approved and be able to take that first step, whether it's a first-time home buyer who had no clue about what it took to get qualified, or someone who had negative credit or bad credit or doesn't have enough funds, some of the struggles can be trying to help them realize what they need to do to help them get pre-approved, because I'm passionate about helping everyone get into a home. Everyone has the right to, if they work hard and have good credit and save some money, any money helps, to qualify and get into a home. Everyone has, that opportunity to be able to do that and succeed in that way. But sometimes it's not easy. The struggle with those clients are just helping them find the right path, working with them, setting a plan, creating a plan, collaborating with resources that I have, whether it be credit specialists or amazing realtors like Laurie, help us create a plan for those people. And if they follow the plan, they'll get in a home one day. And that is the most joy I have, is when I see those who've worked really, really hard, work so hard, and they get into a home. I mean, the passion that Laurie has, that I have in my heart, it just creates impact for those people, how we change their lives. That's just huge. So some of the struggles can be just trying to help them appreciate they'll get there. They just need to work with the plan and work it.
I love that. I think what you both are saying too is just, you guys are incredible advocates for your clients, and that's what they need. Particularly first-time home buyers, but folks that haven't purchased a home in a long time, they need professionals that know what they're doing. And Anjanette, I know you're such a pro and so good at what you do. Laurie's got a little bit of a trickier situation in that she has to know a little bit about what you do. She has to know a little bit about what the title does, what the inspector does, and where, being a couple different places, it's reminds me, I've unfortunately had to spend a lot of time in doctor's offices with parents and kids and stuff like that. And that role that we sometimes have to take as that objective advocate. Like Laurie said, try to stay unemotional because you're dealing with somebody that is in some ways under duress, stressed out, and they don't know what they're doing. They're overwhelmed. And then they have these experts telling them things, and you're helping them digest that, make that a bit more salient so they understand it, and they can make the best decision for themselves. And that's tricky too, because we want to help them. We want to make those choices for them sometimes, but we really have to let them choose and make their own choices in these cases. And I think it's where I've seen in the last year as I meet with agents and partners like you, total pros, it's why I don't think that realtors and professional licensed people will ever be replaced by iBots, and the other iBuyer kind of programs. Not to say that those don't have their place, but we've seen that people are getting in trouble buying and getting into situations that they really, if they'd had a professional that had good information that was staying relevant and what they were doing, they could help them avoid a lot of heartache. So appreciate y'all's
and I would like to share really quick too, is like the tools that we have, a good realtor, a good lender, a good inspector, a good appraiser, everyone, you're knowledgeable. You keep up with the ever changing daily rules and guidelines. You work really hard at that. And in my world, that is every single day. And also I keep an eye on the changes that happen on contracts and so forth. I am not the expert on contracts, but I do keep my eye on what changes are occurring because they do impact how I help people as well on the financing side. But I am blessed to work with a great company. I have so many resources at my company that are fast and expedient that when I have a question, I can go to someone and same day, if not hours, I can help that person answer their question, find a solution to a problem, all of that. So I love Fairway for that because they've got my back so that I can take care of, those out there looking for a home and clients. I'm pretty referral based too. I think trust is huge. And so knowing that you have a loan officer who trusts their company to take care of them, I think is a big deal.
Yeah,
that's huge. And Laurie, I know Fathom, I've known Josh for a long time and he strives to stay relevant and current. What are some of the tools that you guys have now? How are you staying relevant and keeping your clients out of trouble? Tell me what's going on with Fathom right now.
We have a lot of tools. We also have a lot of companies that Fathom has become partnered with, which really helps. Josh, that, he's got a title company, a lender, an inspector, just different people that we can call on. We've got plenty of training, lots of training, even though we don't have a brick and mortar office, which I actually kind of appreciate. This is my office where you see me sitting in my car. So Josh has been terrific. When I came on 10 years ago, we were a smaller company, a few hundred agents, and I got to know Josh, and he's given me some referrals, and I know, again, referrals, family, so it just keeps going down the line. And I'm not going anywhere. I get calls all the time, I want to talk to you, coming to here, we can do this for you. And I appreciate that. And, I'm honored about that, but I'm very happy where I'm at. It's home. Feels like family.
Yeah.
And I know when people trust their realtor and their lender, it just goes so much better all the way around. And your referrals, when they come from a trusted resource, there's a trust almost immediately about who's going to be working with you and taking care of you. And also in the reverse, the clients, like Laurie said, it's when she has referrals come from people she's worked with before, it's a little bit more of a trust factor. And same for me. I am a big referral business, and I am blessed that a lot of my clients refer me out to people they know and love and work with and meet in the community. So I just think trust is huge. And I have that with Laurie.
Yep.
I love that. Well, hey, I know that our good friend Lyndon Wilson, who's behind the scenes here, is chomping at the bit. I know after all this conversation, he's probably got a great question or two. And I want to invite him on screen. There he is. Look at him back there.
What's up? Hi, ladies.
Hey, Lyndon.
Brandon, welcome to the show. I know you've got a few questions. I wanted to make sure we got some time with you.
I do. And just to kind of set these questions up, when I first met Jordan and I got introduced to Real Producers, I loved what the whole fundamental foundation of Real Producers is about. And, when I heard that, I said, hey, we've got to do a show because the difference is focused on the same fundamentals that you are. We've got a different way to bring that to life and bring it to people. And both of these ladies have touched on what those fundamentals are. The reason I called the difference is because I wanted to find out what made the difference. What made the difference between doing an acceptable job and an exceptional job? Both sides work just as hard. One of them get better results than the other. I wanted to know why. And interviewing over 600 people last year, I've been able to really start to identify the characteristics of why some people are real producers and some people are working real hard to be real producers, but can't seem to cross the threshold. I want to ask a couple of things, but before I do, I want to find out about what I call the fix-it strategy, right? So I was in mortgage at one point. I was in credit repair for 18 years. And anytime you work as a collective group, okay, you all need to be on the same page with the fix-it strategy. Because if you're not, kind of what you said, Laurie, you've got to remain even keel because buying a home is an emotional process, right? And a buyer usually doesn't do that quite as often as you sell homes and you help people buy homes. And Jeanette, you help with the mortgage, right? You're doing multiple transactions per year. I, as a buyer, hopefully I'm only doing that every 3, 4, 5 years, correct?
Correct.
So I'm not gonna understand all the things that could go wrong in this buying and selling process. So I want to know what the fix is. How important is having that team, Laurie and Jeanette, and being on the same page in a fix-it strategy, because inevitably something's going to go wrong. It's not anybody's fault, but I bet you've been involved in transactions where someone throws everybody under the bus. Has that ever happened? Okay. So if I'm a buyer and half the team's getting thrown under the bus because they've never worked together before, or they don't have that relationship, how's that going to make me feel? How hard is that going to be for you to talk me off that ledge, right? So when you're working to build those relationships, and I think relationships are the difference, how important is it for everybody to be on the same page in your network and have unity on a fix-it strategy? Laurie, I want to start with you first on that one.
Okay, I think it goes back to it's all about relations and conversation. So if Angie and I do a lot of work together. I have other real lenders, but we do a lot of work together. So we pick up the phone if we've got something going on with a buyer that we need to discuss, and we come up with a plan. We try to stay ahead of that. If she hears something from them that I haven't heard, then we share it with each other. And we come up with a plan. Again, like you said, it can be very emotional, especially if something is not going smoothly for the buyer, and then they get concerned. Well, maybe they're not going to be able to buy the house. That doesn't happen with Anjanette and I. We haven't ever not closed a loan that we got under contract. Everything got to a closing. Did we have a few hurdles to go over? Yes. And we do them to the best of our ability, and we communicate that to the client. And sometimes it's just listening to them and hearing them and understanding them and letting them voice that, and then taking in what we've suggested or asked of them. And it works out, but it can be a little touchy sometimes. So we don't have, I'll be honest with you, I don't have too many like that with Anjanette.
Okay, so let me do a follow-up before Anjanette comes in. Do you think it's because y'all have such a close working relationship? You've gone through these experiences before. Yes. You both understand how to respond efficiently. And usually probably have got some experience in certain areas because, you guys have if you've been at it long enough, you've probably, I'm not going to say you've seen it all and heard it all because as soon as I say that, something's going to come out of the blue, right?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
But having those established that teamwork and that relationship, you guys have experienced a lot of these challenges together. And so now when it happens, it's easy to go to that customer and say, hey, we've been there, done that. We're going to fix this and let's move through it. Would you agree with that?
And I think having the two of us on the same page as a team gives them, a sense of comfort.
Right.
They're like, okay, they got this for me. And that's really what we try to do. Because we are a team with the buyer and the seller and the other agent and the inspector and the appraiser. I mean, there is a lot of moving parts. And
so we don't have much time. So Anjanette, I want to bring you up now, but I want to ask you this question. If I'm getting ready to buy or sell my home, would you advise me to find someone like Laurie that has a network of people that have experience working together? How important would that be for me? Or do I just go out and pick one here and I pick one there and then I just see if they can work together well?
Well, you can go pick your individuals and create a team, but the fact that they don't know the experience of the others and how you communicate is huge.
Right.
So understanding, like you've met Laurie, she has a team of resources, whether it be the lender and the appraiser and the inspector, all of those parts, depending on what you need. That's what I would encourage people to do. Find a real estate agent who is experienced in and has created a resource team for themselves. Communication is big. Being on the same page is huge. I think that provides a lot of reassurance for folks when something pops up.
And one final statement, then Lance, I'll turn it back over to you. But when you have that team like Laurie is put together, and there's a certain amount of accountability to each other, not just the buyer or the seller, right? But you guys are also, because you don't want to be the weak link on the team, right? You want to be the person that's part of the solution to whatever problem may exist. And so there is that accountability. If I'm just putting my own team together, never work together, the personalities may not mesh. There's really no accountability to them, maybe to me, but I don't believe it's the same as having that team that you deal with on a day in and day out basis.
Absolutely. And you do not want to miss. So if you are part of Anjanette's team and you mess up, that means you might not get invited to her Christmas party, and it's pretty fantastic. So
I love my Christmas party.
You don't want to disappoint. So hey, well, this has been a total blast. Anjanette, Laurie, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, of course. So how do our viewers? I know we've got some information kind of scrolling below here, but what's the best way for our listeners and viewers to get in touch with you?
Well, for me, I'll just step up and say, call me. I mean, that's the quickest, fastest way in this market. You just need to be able to pick up the phone and have a lender respond to that phone call. So call me at my phone number. That number is 214-908-2828. There it is right there. It's scrolling across the bottom.
Very good. Laurie, how about you?
The same thing. I love it when people call me. Sometimes they text, which is fine. But then they just need to call me. 214-507-5200. It's nice and easy.
That is easy. What a great number. Well, thank you so much for being on DFW's Real Estate Best and The Difference, hosted by The Difference. This has been fantastic. You guys have been fantastic guests. And next week, we're not going to be having guests, Lyndon, but it'll be the dynamic trio, or the terrific trio, I guess would be more appropriate, but the RP team. So it'll be Jordan, Rachelle, and myself that are going to be on the show. And that's always a fun show because there's a little bit of banter back and forth, but a lot of it's just kind of reflection on our calls and our time that we've spent with agents. I know you always enjoy that. So, hey, Lyndon, before we go, I would like for you to share just a little bit more about The Difference and then just help us out, will you?
Sure. Created The Difference 2 years ago. Been an entrepreneur for about 30 years. I was going to say 20 years. It's past that now. And the struggles that entrepreneurs have, self-employed, independent contractors, we all have the same ones. And sometimes we get caught up so much in our own bubble that we have a tendency to think all the bad things are happening to us and all the great things are happening to everybody else. We look at Facebook and we see the highlight reels and we see the vacations and all this. And I'm sitting here as an entrepreneur going, I can't get it right. Everything I do, it's a struggle. It's a challenge. Why am I doing this? And I wanted to create a network and a platform to inspire those people that are every day are fighting the battle. They're fighting the battle to put food on the table for their kids, to build something, to build a legacy, and to let them know they're not alone. I also wanted to help people understand how to humanize their brand rather than commercialize it, and to really connect with the neighbors and the neighborhoods that we love to serve. And that's what the difference is all about. Most businesses do not struggle or fail because of a bad product or service. They struggle or fail because not enough people knew what they were doing. And so I want this platform to be able to highlight people like Laurie, people like Annette, and show them that there's people out there that they can connect with, that have the similar core values, they're like-minded, and they can help them buy and sell a home, whatever the industry, whatever the business may be. We're bringing those people on every week, and hopefully these communities, obviously the numbers are bearing that true. The communities are tuning in, they're looking, they're finding the people that they want to help and support.
Very good. Lyndon, Laurie, and Jeanette, it's been a pleasure today. I know that our listeners and viewers have gotten as much out of this as I have. So thank you so much for being guests on DFW's Real Estate Best, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, peeps.
Have a good day.